Heartwarming twist, nurse steps in for friend's blind date. Incredible CEO discovers amazing love. Jamie Thompson had always worn her heart on her sleeve, an unyielding beacon of hope in the small, picturesque town of Maplewood. It was the kind of place where everyone knew each other's names, where whispers of kindness floated through the streets, and where life felt free yet beautifully slow. As a 28-year-old nurse, Jamie balanced long shifts at the local hospital with caring for her grandfather, a retired firefighter whose rough hands had taught her the value of hard work and compassion. For her, love felt elusive, yet she held on to her dreams with an undeniable optimism. When her best friend Sarah woke up sick, pale and miserable, the air crackled around Jamie like a thunderstorm about to break. "You've got to go. It's a blind date with a CEO." Sarah wheezed, desperate for the excitement she'd planned. Jamie's heart raced at the idea. Still, she thought about her grandfather, a steadfast figure in her life. Balancing family and work was her norm, but romance? That was another world. With little time for indecision, Jamie stepped into the sleek, upscale restaurant, where the atmosphere hummed with elegance. The contrast was striking. Polished suits glided past her like swans across a pond. Taking a deep breath, she plunged into this realm of luxury that felt miles away from her modest upbringing. The first awkward smile exchanged with Ethan Caldwell, a charismatic CEO, set off a cascade of nerves that had her fumbling over her words. And yet, beneath the chaos, unexpected sparks danced between them. "Are you always this charming, or is it just my bad luck?" Jamie quipped, her cheeks warming as laughter fluttered around them like butterflies. Ethereal, enchanting, everything seemed heightened in the glow of candlelight. They shared stories of their lives, and despite their vastly different worlds, a connection formed. Hours slipped by, and they realized they both shared a commitment to making their community a better place. But the night began to take a turn when Jamie learned of Ethan's ambitious plans to construct a luxury complex, a project that threatened Maplewood's heart and soul, including homes of families she had known her entire life. The revelation stirred a whirlwind of emotions in Jamie, choking her optimism. How could someone with such charm become a catalyst for chaos? Before they were swept up in a whirlwind romance, Jamie's happiness was shaded by doubt. The larger consequences loomed as the anger of the community began to bubble up, putting them both in precarious positions. Just as she started to see the glimmers of love, she discovered a haunting truth about Ethan's own family struggles, a background pushing him onto his driven path, forcing Jamie to question everything she thought she knew about the man before her. Just then, Jamie felt a tightness in her chest, the weight of making choices she never expected. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As conversation flowed, Ethan revealed his longing for redemption, his past interwoven with forgiveness and understanding. Hope flickered between them, but an ultimatum from the community leader loomed over their budding romance. As the sun dipped low, the shadows of doubt engulfed Jamie, leaving her at a crossroads: love or loyalty? Would she embrace what her heart desired or remain steadfast for the town that shaped her? Jamie's heart raced as she sat across from Ethan, the weight of his words settling heavily between them. It was as if a curtain had been drawn back, revealing the tangled mess of motives and intentions that lay beneath his polished exterior. She could see now the yearning in his hazel eyes and the burden on his shoulders. He was driven by ambition, yes, but also by a deep-seated need to prove himself, perhaps to erase a past he couldn't escape. "I never wanted to hurt anyone, Jamie," Ethan said softly, his voice barely above a whisper. "I thought I could create something beautiful. I didn't see the destruction in it until you pointed it out." Her stomach churned with conflict. How could she allow herself to fall for a man whose plans could devastate her hometown? Maplewood was not merely a backdrop, it was woven into the very fabric of her identity. Yet, there was something indefinable about Ethan that pulled at her heart. The man who sat before her was charming and vulnerable, the kind of person she'd once dreamed of being with, yet he carried the weight of a decision that could shatter her world. "What if I told you," Jamie started hesitantly, "that this town isn't just a place for me? It's my family, my memories. These streets tell stories of lives lived, of dreams built. Ethan leaned closer, his expression earnest, his brow furrowed with the struggle of understanding. I get that. I really do. But, Jamie, what about progress? We can't hold on to the past forever. Sometimes, we need to evolve. Evolve? Jamie echoed, her voice tinged with frustration. At what cost? Your progress could uproot families, destroy history. You have to see that. The candlelight flickered as the tension swirled around them. Jamie's mind raced, but her heart ached. Could they bridge the chasm built by their beliefs? Could a shared sense of purpose emerge from this storm of emotional upheaval? Ethan's eyes softened as he took her hand. Help me to see, Jamie. Teach me about your dreams for Maplewood. His sincerity shifted something deep within her. Maybe, just maybe, this connection wasn't destiny spiraling out of control but an opportunity for dialogue, understanding. Could they both change? Could she help him reshape his vision? Before she could respond, a figure loomed at the entrance. It was Sarah, her presence a sudden reminder of Jamie's loyalty to their friendship and her own steadfastness. Jamie's heart sank as she noticed Sarah's worried frown. It was an instinctive urgency that pierced Jamie's resolve. This was about more than just her budding feelings, it was about the people who depended on her. Jamie! We need to talk, now. Sarah rushed over, her voice a mixture of concern and distress. The community board has already organized a protest against Ethan. They're angry. Jamie's head spun. Reality crashed in like a tidal wave, dragging her back to the moment. She stammered, caught between Ethan's earnest look and Sarah's frantic energy. Ethan stood, a flash of anxiety crossing his features. What does this mean for us? The very question hung heavy in the air, a pendulum swinging over the fragile hopes they had built. Jamie felt a mix of panic and determination. Could she still fight for her town and follow her heart? Could they find a way to bridge the gap? In that moment, she realized they both faced a choice between passion and principle, between love and loyalty. As her heart pounded, Jamie looked to Sarah, then back at Ethan. The storm was just beginning, and she didn't know which path to choose. What would she say? What would she do? Let us figure this out together. Jamie's voice barely rose above the buzzing tension, hinting at the unknowns awaiting them both. Uncertainty washed over her, but determination ignited within. What came next could change everything. The tension in the room thickened as Jamie's words hung in the air. She glanced at Sarah, whose eyes were wide with urgency, then back at Ethan, who now wore a mask of uncertainty. For a fleeting moment, Jamie wondered if they were both in over their heads, tangled in a web of emotions and expectations. Jamie, we need to act fast, Sarah said, her voice cutting through the silence. The protest is tonight. If we don't come up with a plan, everything you care about could slip away. Ethan's eyes flickered between them, a whirlwind of emotions playing across his face. Jamie could see the man she had begun to care for conflicted, yet genuine, and it made her heart ache even more. How did it come to this? Just days ago, everything felt so perfectly aligned in her world. Now, she was caught between love and loyalty, her insides tying in knots. Jamie inhaled deeply, searching for words that could somehow thread the needle between her friends and the man who stood on the other side. Ethan, they're not just against you. They're against what they see as a threat to everything Maplewood represents. You have to understand that. I do understand, he said, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. But I'm not the enemy here. I want to build something that can benefit this community. Benefit? Sarah shot back, her voice rising. You think tearing down our heritage is beneficial? Do you even hear yourself? Jamie felt the fire igniting between them, but she also recognized it was a moment of truth. Enough. The anger won't solve anything. We can't just point fingers. She paused, searching for a solution amidst the chaos. What if we talk to the community? Show them your vision? Maybe if they understood your passion for progress, they might see you as an ally instead of a threat. Jamie's heart raced as she met Ethan's gaze. It was a gamble, perhaps the biggest one she had taken. But she refused to let fear silence her voice, nor the passion she felt for her town and for him. Ethan nodded slowly, and Jamie felt a hint of hope pierce through the tension. "You're right. Maybe I haven't shown them the full picture. I could arrange a meeting to discuss the plans. But I need your help, Jamie. You know this place better than I do." Sarah's expression softened slightly, reminding Jamie that they needed to unite rather than fragment. Yet her friend's lingering uncertainty remained palpable. "This isn't just about you two. It's about the future of our home. Let us fight for it," Jamie said, her voice steady. "Together." They stood in a triangle, each of them facing a different direction, but united in purpose. The clock ticked away, a reminder that time wasn't on their side. "Fine," Sarah relented, glancing from Jamie to Ethan. "But if we're doing this, we do it right. We need to be prepared for their backlash. We all have to be on the same page." Ethan's tension eased further, and he took a step toward Jamie, his eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, both of you. I know it's a lot to ask. But together, we might just open their eyes." "And what if we don't?" Sarah said, her worry still evident. "What if this doesn't go as planned?" Jamie felt her stomach twist. "Then we'll find another way. We have to believe that communication can make a difference. I won't give up on either of you." As they began brainstorming logistics and tactics for the meeting, Jamie felt an undeniable bond forming. Amidst the fear of losing her town and possibly Ethan, a flicker of hope remained like a candle in a storm. But as night approached, the uncertainty loomed larger. Would their efforts suffice? Would they be able to sway the community, or would they only ignite a bigger fire of resistance? With determination fueling her resolve, Jamie squeezed Ethan's hand. "Together, right?" "Together," he echoed softly, yet a shadow of doubt lingered in his eyes. And it haunted her as they strategized, realizing that the real battle had only just begun. But as Jamie pushed forward, the question loomed: were they truly ready for what lay ahead, or would they find themselves engulfed in a conflict bigger than they could have ever imagined? The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm glow over Maplewood. Jamie felt the sunlight wash over her, though it did little to warm the chill of dread coiling in her stomach. The protest wasn't just a community affair, it had become deeply personal. Each moment that ticked by only amplified the urgency of their plans. "Okay," Jamie said, rallying her thoughts as they gathered around Sarah's dining table, a jumble of papers and notes sprawled out before them. "We need to come up with key points, something that makes people see this plan isn't just change for the sake of change." Ice cream parlor, local artist studios. Ethan shuffled through the notes he'd made while brainstorming. "Maybe we highlight how this will bring jobs? Revitalize the community?" "Right," Sarah chimed in, her voice firmer now, "but they're scared of losing what makes Maplewood, well, Maplewood. We need to show them it can be both progress and heritage." Jamie noticed Ethan's brow furrow with determination. "We could develop an event around the meeting. Show people what they gain instead of what they lose. A community festival, maybe?" "I love that idea," Jamie replied, her spirits lifting slightly. "It could help people visualize the new businesses and what they bring. It be a tangible example of change." Sarah nodded, her focus sharpening. "I could work on a flyer to get the word out. Maybe highlight some local talent, bring the community together to celebrate what they already have." As each suggestion flew around the table, so did another wave of energy. Ideas blossomed, a refuge for Jamie from the dreadful weight of impending confrontation. But with each optimistic thought, another battle loomed in her mind: the fear that the community's response would turn vicious. As they drafted ideas and handled logistics, the afternoon peeled away into evening shadows. "What if no one shows up?" Ethan's voice broke through, conflicted. "What if they see this as a trick?" Jamie's heart sank at his uncertainty. "Then we need to be ready to listen. Open up the floor for their voices. We're not just presenting, we're inviting them to be part of this." "That's the spirit," Sarah added, her belief growing. "We need to foster a dialogue, not just a presentation." As night descended over the town, the three of them grabbed their things and stepped outside, breathing in the cool air. The protest would commence shortly, and a sense of anticipation prickled Jamie's skin. "What's our stance when we approach the crowd?" Ethan asked, concern flickering in his eyes. "Solidarity," Jamie replied, resolved. "We're a team. We're not just supporting you, Ethan, we're fighting for our town too." They walked in silence down the main street, the heart of Maplewood, where everyone gathered. Each storefront looked peaceful, but the tension simmered underneath. The distance to the park felt like a mile, each step heavy with doubt. As the crowd began to form, Jamie saw familiar faces, neighbors, friends, some even family. Her heart raced, not just with anxiety, but with the need for connection. She had to believe that they could bridge this division. When they reached the gathering, murmurs filled the air, snippets of conversations revealing the community's anxieties and hopes. Jamie squeezed Sarah's hand, who did the same with Ethan. This was their moment. With her heart pounding, Jamie stepped forward, ready to address those who held Maplewood's future in their palms. "Everyone, thank you for coming. Tonight, we want to talk about our community, our future, and how we can shape it together." But then, from the back of the crowd, a voice shouted, "What's there to talk about? You just want to bulldoze our history." Jamie froze, her heart pounding in her ears as anger and fear whirled about. She turned to exchange a glance with Ethan, who wore a mask of disbelief. "Why can't they see what we're trying to do?" he whispered, panic creeping back in. "I'll handle it," Jamie assured him, her determination trembling beneath the surface. This was the pivotal moment. Everything hinged on how they would respond to the very real fears that surrounded them. As she took a step forward, a sense of dread swelled. Would she be able to calm the storm, or would it unravel into chaos? The question hung in the air as the crowd's voices grew louder, drowning out her thoughts. What would happen next would define them all, and Jamie had never felt so alive yet so terrified. "Let us talk about that history," Jamie called out, trying to project her voice over the rising murmurings of the crowd. She could feel the tension morphing into something solid, something almost tangible in the cool evening air. "This is about Maplewood. It's about the future we want for our children, our friends, and for each other." A few heads turned, eyebrows lifting slightly as they considered her challenge. Jamie breathed in, letting the words wash over her for a moment. She needed to keep their attention, and she needed it now. "Sure, we love Maplewood's history," she continued, her voice steeling itself against the doubt echoing around her. "But change doesn't mean we forget where we came from. It means we build on it. Imagine a richer art scene, a bustling community event that brings us all together. Can we not embrace that?" Ethan stepped up beside her, emboldened by her passion. "Look at those empty buildings. They could be filled with ice cream shops, galleries, and spaces where our kids can play. We have to think about how we can create a place that respects our roots while also paving the way for something new." "New? Or a new way to push us out?" a voice cut through from the right. Jamie quickly recognized Mrs. Jenkins, a longtime resident and staunch defender of Maplewood's traditions. The intensity in her eyes was fierce. "You don't understand. This town is our home, we built it together through hard work and love. Are you ready to throw that away?" A wave of murmurs broke out, and Jamie could feel the air shift. She sensed nervousness and concern in the crowd, but behind it all, there was an opportunity to connect. She prayed for the words to bridge that divide. "No, we're not asking anyone to throw anything away. What we want is to create a space where history and innovation coexist. Look at all of you, gathered here. We care about Maplewood just as much as you do, maybe even more." Jamie's pulse quickened, her heart thumping loudly as she searched for the right imagery. She could see she was losing them again. "This isn't just my future. This is our future. Just think your grandchildren playing in a park ringing with laughter, surrounded by art and culture that we create together." Sarah stepped forward, her eyes scanning the crowd. "Let us not fear change. Take a look at the festivals we had. They brought us together. We can do that again. Only this time, we do it with voices that include you, every one of you." As she spoke, Jamie spotted a flicker of hope in the group. Ethan leaned in closer to Jamie, his voice low. "Do you think they're actually listening?" Jamie nodded, clinging to that sliver of faith. "They can be," she murmured back. "But we need to keep going." "Why should we trust you?" A younger voice spoke out, flicking a glance at the trio before them. Jamie recognized it. It was Mark, someone she had grown up with. A mixture of anger and confusion rested on his brow. "What if you just want to tear it all down?" "Mark, we want to build up, I promise you," Jamie replied, her voice softer now, laced with sincerity. "This is about preserving our community spirit, not destroying it. We remember our history, and we bring it into the future. We won't forget the sacrifices of those before us. We're fighting for this town so that it can flourish." Slowly, heads started nodding. The quiet began to seep back in, a nervous energy of curiosity shifting the atmosphere. Maybe a voice called out from the back, "Maybe we could finalize this plan together?" The collective acknowledgement of a shared vision began to blossom among the faces in the sea before Jamie. It was a slight start, but enough to shift the momentum. "Let us hold a meeting. Let us work together," Jamie suggested, her heart soaring again. "A brainstorming session to iron out ideas. We want your fears to be heard, to be part of this. Let us do this as a community." Before Jamie could grasp the shift entirely, Ethan punched the air in excitement, letting out a little cheer that rippled through the crowd. She felt Sarah's hand grip hers tightly, their faces lighting up with hope. As the crowd's mood began to shift, Jamie caught another glimpse of faces, now full of possibility instead of scorn. Maybe tonight was the start of something beautiful. But just as she felt the air shift, a voice shattered the moment. "Not all of us want that. Some of us don't want to change at all." The echoes of dissent hung in the air, making Jamie's stomach drop once again. Would this mark a resurgence of the anger they had begun to quell, or could they dig deeper and find a way through this? Jamie looked around her and took a deep breath. She could feel the weight if she was standing on a precipice between hope and despair. What would happen next could turn everything around or send it all crashing down. Would they really find a way forward, or was the divide too great to mend? The words hung in the air, heavy and charged with disbelief. Jamie's heart raced, pounding against her chest as she scanned the crowd for signs of support. She could see a mixture of apprehension and defiance ripple through the group. A murmur rose. "We're fine the way we are," someone shouted. "We don't need all those fancy new ideas." Jamie felt the warmth of summer fading, replaced by a chill that crept in as doubt settled in her mind. She wasn't fighting for empty ideals. She was fighting for her home, for the heartbeat of this town. She didn't want to get lost in the noise. "Please just listen," she said, her voice carrying weight now. "This isn't just about shiny new buildings or modern art. It's more than that. It's about reviving our Maplewood spirit, finding ways to keep our past alive while giving our kids a vibrant future. We must collaborate, find common ground." Mark's eyes narrowed. "But what happens if our history gets drowned in those ideas? What if we lose everything?" "It won't." Jamie exclaimed, desperation creeping into her voice. "We'll build a culture that celebrates both our past and our growth. Aren't we all tired of just existing? Don't we want to thrive together and create a Maplewood that we can all be proud of?" Her words seemed to still the crowd momentarily, and then Mrs. Jenkins stepped forward, her expression softening. "But change is scary, Jamie. You want to bulldoze our way of life. Not bulldoze. Infuse." Ethan intervened, stepping into the light with fresh determination. "Let us not forget we all loved our festivals. Those were born from collaboration, from taking the risk to unite. We're asking for more of that spirit." Jamie joined hands with Ethan. "We want your voices in this plan. We need to hear your ideas, your fears. This is about you, your families, your dreams for Maplewood." Another silence unfurled across the gathering, and Jamie could feel the shifting mood, like a current pulling them toward understanding. A woman in the back, someone Jamie did not recognize, spoke up softly. What if we have a town hall? A safe space to share our thoughts? No judgments? The idea floated like a fresh breeze through the gathering, igniting a spark of interest. Sarah squeezed Jamie's hand, her eyes wide with hope. Yes. Let us set a date, find common ground. We need this. Together, Jamie echoed, her heart swelling with a mix of fear and excitement. Together, we can guide Maplewood into a creative, new era without losing the heart that makes this place our home. More heads nodded, the initial dissent now tempered by thoughts of collaboration. Yet, the challenge remained. They required a plan, one that everyone could get behind. Let us talk about what this town means to each of you, Jamie encouraged. As voices began to overlap, some fearful, some hopeful. Jamie couldn't shake the sense of urgency. This is our moment. Tonight sets the foundation for Maplewood's tomorrow. Are you ready to fight for what you believe in too? She called out, her feet planted firmly. What if we discover we're all on the same page, just on different lines? A ripple of murmured agreement moved through the crowd as they began to share stories of their own experiences of Maplewood. Suddenly, a range of emotions intermingled in the air: laughter, longing, warmth. Connections began forming thread by thread, but in the shadows of their newfound openness, Jamie felt a pressing sting of doubt at her own promise. What if this wasn't enough? What if the divide could never be bridged? The final words of the night lingered, as almost a secret whisper. What if change isn't so bad? As she made her way home, Jamie's heart was heavy with the responsibility now resting on her shoulders. There was still so much work to do. Would they embrace the change together, or would fear keep them chained to the past? Tomorrow they would gather again, with an open mind and an open heart. Jamie squeezed Sarah's hand tight, the two stepping forward into the uncertainty of the morning light. What revelations awaited them in the discussions ahead? The morning sun peeked through the curtains, casting a warm glow across Jamie's small kitchen. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, its inviting scent mingling with the fading chill of the night. Today was important, an opportunity to bridge the gap between fear and hope in Maplewood. As she sat sipping her coffee, Jamie glanced out the window, watching the gentle sway of the trees. Each leaf seemed to shimmer with potential, whispering secrets about the change she longed for. Next to her, Sarah studied her notes, jotting down ideas for the town hall meeting. There was a spark in her eyes, a blend of eagerness and apprehension. Do you think anyone will show? Sarah asked, glancing up from the paper. Jamie could feel the weight of uncertainty pressing down again. I hope so. If we don't come together, how can we really move forward? We need to hear everyone's voice. With a sigh, Jamie put down her coffee. She could feel the nervous energy bubbling inside. They needed to inspire the town to believe in its future as much as she did. As they prepared to leave, Jamie caught sight of a few familiar faces out in the street, a gathering of neighbors sharing gossip and laughter. It warmed her heart. Maybe they were ready for something new, maybe they could all unite. The town hall opened in the community center, bustling with people shuffling inside. The atmosphere buzzed with hesitant excitement. Jamie took a deep breath, her pulse quickening as she stepped up to the lectern. She scanned the crowd, seeing a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Thank you all for coming. She started, her voice steady despite her racing heart. This is an important moment for Maplewood. We can shape our future together. Whispers rustled through the crowd. A few faces remained stern, arms crossed, while others sat with open expressions, faces eager for change. Jamie smiled. Let us talk about what makes Maplewood special. What do we want for our kids and ourselves? Share after share, stories began to emerge, memories laced with laughter and tears. They spoke of frosty winters spent at the Christmas market, summers drenched in festival colors, and all the little things that made the town feel like home. Yet, with each story, Jamie sensed an underlying current of fear of losing their roots. Mark stood up, his voice booming over the crowd. What about our history? What if we forget who we are in this rush for modernization? Jamie took a moment, breathing deeply before responding. Remember, Mark, it all matters. We are not here to erase our history, we're here to build upon it. Bringing in new ideas doesn't mean losing who we are. It means enriching our story. The tension eased just a bit, and Jamie exchanged hopeful glances with Sarah. They were starting to move past the fear, unraveling the tight grip of apprehension, and then unexpectedly, a woman stood from the back, her face lit with determination. What if we involve our kids in this? They're the future, they should have a say too. The room erupted with murmured agreement. Yes! Jamie exclaimed, her heart racing. Let us engage our youth. They have fresh ideas and a love for this place that can lead us forward. Applause rippled through the gathering, and Jamie could feel the energy shift as people began to rally behind this new idea. As the meeting went on, discussing potential events and ways to inspire the younger generation, Jamie's doubt transformed into cautious optimism. If they could weave these visions together, they might create a tapestry of past and future intertwined, a Maplewood alive with unity and progress. But just as the momentum surged, Jamie recognized a familiar figure standing in the doorway, silhouetted by the light. Liz, her childhood friend, looked uncertain, lingering just outside the circle of warmth. Caught off guard, Jamie's heart raced again. What was Liz doing here? Was she ready to confront her past with the community, or would she turn away again? Before Jamie could move toward her, a sudden thought struck. What if Liz carried with her the answer to the resolve they desperately needed? What if she held the key to bringing everyone together? The room bristled with energy, a collective heartbeat echoing Jamie's thoughts. She hadn't expected Liz to show up after all this time, not when the memories of their shared childhood lingered like shadows in the corners of her mind. There had been laughter once, carefree days spent in the sun, but those days felt distant now. As Liz shifted, her eyes scanning the room, Jamie felt a surge of determination welling up inside her. Maybe this was it, maybe Liz could be the missing piece. Hey, everyone! Jamie called out, her voice slicing through the chatter. I think we have someone special joining us. The crowd turned toward the door, curiosity piqued. Liz hesitated but stepped forward, the sunlight framing her as if the universe wanted to usher her back into their lives. Jamie felt the weight of unspoken truths in Liz's presence, a story barely waiting to unfold. Jamie waved her over, heart racing. Why don't you tell us what you think? You grew up here just like the rest of us. The crowd murmured, and a few familiar faces prompted Liz to speak. Her voice was soft but steady as she began to share her own memories of what Maplewood meant to her. Jamie could see her hesitation ease a bit with each word. I've been away a lot, Liz admitted, glancing at the crowd with a mix of shame and longing. But I've always held a piece of this town in my heart. I never wanted to abandon who we are, I was just scared of everything changing. The sincerity in her voice resonated, drawing nods from those who had felt the same fear. It was a reminder that everyone, even those who had drifted away, could play a crucial role in their community. Liz took a breath, her shoulders straightening. I want to help. Let us not hide from change, let us embrace it together. Applause filled the room, and Jamie couldn't help but smile widely. Could it be? They were finally breaking through barriers that had kept them apart. Liz, standing there, began to remind the townspeople what it meant to connect past with present, fear with hope. As the meeting continued, ideas flowed freely. The crowd was affirming everything, and Jamie felt the momentum shift towards something beautiful. They discussed a community day, inviting children to share their ideas, painting murals, organizing events, all with the aim of building bridges. And there, amid the exchange, Jamie caught Liz's eyes as they locked, a silent promise passing between them. But just as excitement seemed to crescendo, an unexpected voice cut through. Mark stood again, his tone more serious now. What about the risks? Modernization could change our landscape permanently. Are we prepared for that? The joyful chatter muffled, apprehension returned. Jamie inhaled, feeling the tension spike again. She exchanged glances with Liz, an unspoken alliance forming there, each of them sharing the burden of this moment. It depends on how we approach it, Jamie replied, her own voice firm. If we focus on our values, the things that unite us, we can adapt without losing our identity. We just need to be thoughtful and inclusive in our plans. But even as she spoke, Jamie felt her confidence flicker. Was she really prepared for this? As the crowd murmured, weighing her words, Jamie noticed a different expression on Liz's face, one of earnest understanding mixed with determination. The familiar warmth washed over Jamie as she realized they had an ally in each other, a connection rooted in shared history, blooming into a cohesive force for their community. The meeting wrapped up with tentative plans but buzzed with energy. People began to move, mingling and discussing ideas more freely now. Hope simmered in the air, but Jamie still felt a pit of uncertainty in her stomach. Before she could dwell too long on it, Liz pulled her aside, her expression serious. "We can't let fear hold us back anymore. Let us show them what we can do together." Jamie nodded, acutely aware of the journey ahead. But what if Liz's resolve was the catalyst they needed? As the crowd dispersed, one thought remained: could they truly bridge the gap between the past and the future? They stepped outside together, the sun dipping low in the sky, painting the horizon with colors of promise. But just as Jamie thought they might finally find their way, a loud crash echoed from across the community center. "What was that?" Liz asked, eyes wide. Jamie turned, heart pounding. "Let us go see." And so they ventured forth, uncertainty looming yet again. What awaited them might change everything they'd just begun to build. The air outside felt charged, almost electric, as Jamie and Liz approached the source of the sound. A crowd had already gathered, a mix of curious townsfolk and apprehensive glances moving in their direction. Jamie's heart raced with every hurried step, her mind reeling. What had happened? They pushed through the throng of people, squeezing past familiar faces. When they reached the front, Jamie felt a mix of relief and surprise. A table had toppled over, its contents scattered, a mix of chairs, flyers, and a batch of freshly baked cookies meant for the community day. Mark was there, looking more flustered than ever. "Is everyone okay?" Jamie asked, scanning the faces of those nearby. Relief washed over her when she spotted Brooke, one of the cheerful bakers from the town, brushing crumbs off her shirt. "Just a little accident," she replied, laughter bubbling in her voice despite the chaos. "Guess the cookies wanted to make their debut in style." Liz chuckled at the playful spirit. The tension eased a bit, allowing a few smiles to spread through the crowd. Jamie felt a sudden rush of affection for this town, for its resilience wrapped in a layer of humor. Maybe they could pull this off after all, but Mark's expression cut through the moment. "This might be nothing now, but we have to take this seriously. We can't afford to get distracted. The risks, they're real." Jamie nodded, understanding his worry. She couldn't ignore the stakes, but negativity didn't help either. She turned to the group, determined to shift the energy. "What if we turn this upside down? Let us make this a part of our story. Maybe a cookie contest, a way to launch our ideas for the community day. We'll make it fun and safe." A buzz of excitement danced back into the air, the earlier concerns melting away into a flurry of animated chatter about cookie recipes and decoration themes. Mark looked on, his brows still furrowed, but Jamie could see a flicker of doubt in his eyes. Perhaps he was beginning to see that change didn't always mean compromise. Sometimes, it meant finding new paths. As Jamie and Liz joined in, planning the new event, Jamie felt a renewed sense of determination. They could embrace change without losing who they were. In the chaos of brainstorming and laughter, Liz turned to Jamie, her face glowing with passion. "Let us put as much heart into this as we can. We can show Maplewood not just what we want, but who we are." "Exactly," Jamie replied, her heart swelling. They were kindred spirits, two pieces of a puzzle coming together with hope and dreams. Moments later, as laughter filled the air with renewed vigor, Jamie caught sight of a silhouette further back, the figure of a man she recognized from the town council meetings. Nathan, with his sharp suits and intense gaze. He had always been a bit of a whirlwind, bouncing from idea to idea, often overshadowing others. But now, there was something different about his posture, a spark in those dark eyes. "Jamie, Liz," he called, making his way through the crowd. "What's this I hear about cookie contests? Count me in. And about that community day, I've got some connections that could help out." "Great," Liz said, enthusiasm bubbling in her voice. Jamie held her breath. Nathan could be lightning in a bottle, but often came with his own storm. Was this his way of helping, or another attempt to steer things his way? With renewed energy flooding the air, Jamie felt both hope and uncertainty swirl within her. They had a chance to create something beautiful, but the paths ahead were still tangled and unclear. As the crowd broke off to begin planning, Jamie caught Liz's eye. "We need to keep him focused, don't we?" Liz nodded, her brow slightly furrowed. "Yeah, but maybe he'll surprise us. Maybe he's finally ready to help instead of control." Was Liz right? Jamie couldn't shake the feeling that they had turned a corner. But if they were going to stand strong, they would need to navigate Nathan's involvement carefully. Suddenly, a loud clap sounded in the background, pulling their attention. "All right, everyone. Who's ready for some cookie fun?" Cheers erupted, and Jamie felt her heart lift higher than it had all day. Glancing at Liz, she saw a reflection of her own excitement, a blend of determination and hope. The future felt uncertain, but maybe this time they could make it work. Then, just as they were about to dive back into planning, a sharp noise cut through the laughter again, a crash that sent everyone's excitement spiraling into confusion. "What is it now?" Jamie groaned, anxiety creeping up her spine. Liz's eyes widened. "I have a bad feeling about this." As they turned, Jamie couldn't shake the growing dread. What was happening, and were they prepared for what was to come? The tension in the air thickened as everyone turned to see what had caused the noise. Jamie felt her heart sink as she glanced at the scene unfolding before her. A nearby booth had collapsed, scattering materials everywhere and sending a few startled townsfolk stumbling backward. Among them stood Nathan, his face turning white as he assessed the chaos around him. Anxiety rippled through the crowd, faces turning from excitement to concern. "Is everyone okay?" Jamie shouted, rushing toward the fallen booth, heart hammering in her chest. She scanned the crowd for injuries, but thankfully no one appeared hurt, just startled. Relief washed over her, but a knot tightened in her stomach. If they didn't regain control of the situation quickly, all the progress they had made could unravel in seconds. Liz joined her, moving swiftly through the crowd, her brow furrowed. "This could derail everything. We need to act now." "Let us clean this up," Jamie responded, leaning down to gather the scattered flyers. "We can't let them see us lose our momentum." As they worked to gather everything, Jamie noticed the murmurs of doubt creeping back in. She could sense her friends were growing wary, and she knew their united front could easily fracture. She cast a quick glance at Ethan, who stood toward the back, his normally confident demeanor overshadowed by stress. "Ethan," she called, her voice cutting through the tension. "We need you up here. Can you help sort the supplies?" He nodded, rushing over as Sarah brought a group of townsfolk to lend a hand. Jamie felt a flicker of hope ignite. They were a community, and they would turn this around together. As they worked, Jamie moved closer to Nathan, noticing how his face had become a mask of frustration. "Maybe if you and your council could be more transparent with your plans," she suggested, keeping her voice calm. "We need to work together, not pull apart." Nathan exhaled sharply, displacing a cloud of doubt. "You might be right," he admitted. "But change is not easy, and it's hard to get everyone on board." "Exactly. So let us show them that progress doesn't mean erasing what we love. We can find a way forward," Jamie urged, her voice steadying with purpose. The mood in the crowd shifted as Liz and Sarah started to engage more locals, rallying them together. Jamie took a deep breath, feeling the weight of everyone's hopes bearing down on her. If they could get through this together, they could forge a new beginning. As they cleared the booth and moved back into the rhythm of planning, Jamie felt the energy in the air reform. Conversations picked up again, fueled by the idea that they could transform this moment into an opportunity. "Okay, everyone," Jamie called again, her voice booming. "We're not giving up. We're going to turn this mishap into a celebration. A cookie contest, community day. Let us give our families something to rally behind." Cheers erupted, and she caught Ethan's eye. His smile was radiant, and she felt in that moment, their bond deepened further. Liz stepped forward, her cheeks flushed with a combination of adrenaline and excitement. "Why don't we involve everyone's favorite treat too? Like a Maplewood bake-off. Let us have family booths, competitions, games for our kids to see how this can bring us together." "Yes." Sarah joined in, her energy infectious. Let us make it an event where we showcase our history, our talents all melding together. Jamie watched as the crowd began to buzz with ideas, and she felt a warmth spread through her. If they stuck together, they could make something beautiful out of the pieces that had shattered. The gathering was no longer a protest but a celebration of what they stood to gain. As nightfall approached, Jamie stood with her friends, proud to see their little town rallying around a shared dream. It wasn't just about her and Ethan, it was about them all, families united in purpose. They could embrace the past while stepping bravely into the future. In that moment, with hope blossoming and teamwork igniting a spirit of determination, Jamie knew they had passed an unspoken test. They had decided to fight for Maplewood, not just against change, but for the vision that embraced all of them. With resolve lighting her heart, she turned to the group and said, "Let us do this together. We owe it to ourselves, to Maplewood, and to each other." As cheers erupted around her, breathing life back into every heart, she felt an undeniable urge to build. Life surged anew, hopes lifting as they walked together toward tomorrow, and as they stood united, Jamie thought of all the powerful stories they would create, not just with words, but with shared dreams and intertwined fates. This was Maplewood's time, but more than that, it was Jamie's time to embrace love, friendship, and the stunning evolution of a community. It was time to heartily invest in the dreams they all cherished, and as the night folded against the stars, she knew love had never been elusive. It had simply been waiting for her to open her heart to the possibilities. This was the moment they'd all been waiting for, a fresh beginning. Now it was time to seize it, make your voice heard in your own community. Embrace the changes and struggles we all face through unity and dialogue. And if you've loved this journey, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait not even one more second to join our community and be a part of these incredible stories. Leave a like to fuel AI creation and share the motivation. Your support makes all the difference. Comments below about your takeaways and feelings. Let us connect. Share this inspiring story with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation and walk their paths toward unity and love.